to the Chaotic Show, or the Celtic Fight Chronicles. My name is Pierce Fitzpatrick, or the Chaotic Gentleman. I am joined by former WBO Intercontinental Middleweight Champion Gary Spike O'Sullivan. Mr. O'Sullivan, please tell me how you're feeling today.
Feeling very good, Mr. Fitzpatrick. Done a good run earlier this morning and keeping fit and hoping to be back in the ring before the end of the year. I'm feeling good anyway.
So the first question I have to you, it's actually relating to an article back in the Sun of August of 2022. So there was a specific fighter that you called out, and he's fighting in the UFC. He goes by Conor McGregor. And in your words, you stated that you would slaughter him. Now, I was wondering, is this, like in my head, I was wondering, do you not like Connor because the word slaughter is in a good majority of terms would be used for hated, like the likes of like Vanderlei Silva, they've other fighters they've used the word slaughter because they don't like their opponents. So I was just wondering what was the story there with Conor McGregor?
Well, I think just someone just asked me a question about fighting him or whatever, and it's just a term I use, like in terms of that. I think I beat him. I slaughter him in terms of I beat him quite easily. I think.
Hmm. So you're planning on making a comeback and to the ring, and you are planning to fight for a title, right? I'm assuming that this comeback is going to be for a title.
Not necessarily the first fight. I don't think will be for title. I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't be sure. No, or I'd say maybe my next fight after my second fight back might be for title. I don't think my first fight back will be. I don't think.
Okay, so is there any opponents that you have in mind that you would like to fight down the line?
Um, I'd like to fight the winner of I think JJ Metcalf and Dennis Hogan having a rematch. I'd like to fight the winner of that fight if possible.
Hmm.
I haven't thought about anyone specifically, really. I mean, I've been out for a while. My last fight was against Erlan Lara for the WBA middleweight world title, and I'm just looking to get back in the ring. I had an injury there back 23rd of December in 2022. Haven't fought since then. So I'm looking to get back in the ring just for the year ends anyway, to shake off a couple of cobwebs and get back fully fit, fully
Oh,
tuned up.
yeah, sorry there, just I accidentally clicked out of Zoom. So anyway, Mr. O'Sullivan, I want you to talk to me a bit about your boxing story, about how it all began, and who exactly was it that you looked up to growing up, and then deciding one day that you wanted to be a boxer yourself, like strap on those gloves and then start hitting the pads and then punching someone in the face.
So I began boxing when I was 5 years old. My father boxed and he introduced me to boxing. Myself and my brothers, we all boxed. All my brothers and myself, we were national champions as amateurs, and it was a big kind of family thing, the boxing. I guess I liked Chris Eubank Senior a lot when I was growing up. I thought he was great. I loved wrestling as well growing up, and think it was very entertaining. And Chris Eubank Senior was a great entertainer, and I really liked him.
Hmm.
And the first boxing match professionally I attended was Chris Eubank Senior versus Steve Collins Senior. And it was kind of a distant dream to be kind of get to the level they were at and maybe fight at some stadiums myself or whatnot. So I started out when I was 11, having my first amateur fight, and I just kept on going from there and kept on going and going, and ended up becoming a professional in the end.
Hmm.
The, I had 36 fights now as a professional.
So there's another question involving boxing, but it's not considered professional boxing. Have you heard of the recent term influencer boxing?
I have, of course, yeah, like Jake Paul and like Hamilton and KSI and all these guys. Yeah, I have, yeah.
So I want to get your thoughts on the upcoming Misfits the Misfits Prime card. That's coming out on October 14th. We have the Fury's one of Fury's sons, Tommy Fury. He's fighting KSI for the main event. Then we have the Pauls, Logan Paul versus Dylan Dennis, which is Conor McGregor's jiu-jitsu partner. And we have a whole list of influencers. And I want to get your opinion on, and do you think that this influencer sort of boxing is good for the actual sport, or do you think it's like a downgrade from boxing?
I think it shines a light a bit more on boxing. I think some people look at it different ways, but I think it brings a bit more light to boxing. And I mean, everyone in the world is kind of trying to hustle, I guess, and do the best they can for themselves and for their families. So, I say good luck to these guys, and you know, just they're doing the best like everybody else. I guess I don't think the majority of them won't be able to be at the highest levels as a professional, but they're making lots of money anyway, and I guess that's what's important for them. And like I say good luck to them.
Speaking of which, they actually have official records. Like that
Yeah,
means
I think that earlier, yeah, that like KSI now is fighting Tommy Fury, and it's
mhm,
some box rec. I seen that, yeah. Um, I don't like. I mean, I think they could beat a lot of the lower level pros anyway. So I think they deserve to have their box rec. I suppose like they deserve that status and to have a record. An
mhm,
official record. I don't have a problem with that.
mhm. KSI's last opponent was Joe Fournier. Are you aware of who Joe Fournier is?
Not really. No.
He was one of David Hayes' opponents, and he also won, I believe, the WBA International Championship.
Okay, like a heavyweight or
Huh?
cruiserweight or
Um,
at what
I
weight? Cruiser.
I think if it was David Hay, I think it was heavyweight. I think it's been a while
Just I can't
since.
believe KSI fought him. I can't believe KSI fought him. I think what size is KSI? He's quite small, is he? Or
I think it was around cruiserweight when they fought. You see, I haven't kept up with the likes of Joe Fournier or David Hay in quite a while, but I do believe it was for a either cruiserweight or maybe an international title. But anyway,
okay.
so I was wondering, do you know about the Furies, about Tommy Fury? He recently fought Jake Paul in February, and I was wondering, did you catch any wind of that? Did you watch the fight at
Yeah,
all?
yeah. I know quite a bit about it actually because there's a guy I train with quite frequently, and he trains at the same gym as me. A guy called Cathal Crowley. He was over sparring with Tommy Fury for that fight, and I watched that fight as well myself, and I expected Fury would probably, you know, he's a pretty good boxer. I thought Jake Paul was quite good himself as well. I don't think he's too bad at all. You know, I mean, they're not the elite level, but they're not bad.
Jake says that he wants to be and he plans to be the WBC Cruiserweight Champion by 2026. Now, after seeing Jake's, I suppose you can say you see his opponents and you also see the way that he fights. Do you think that he's improving, and do you think that that's an actual a task that he can accomplish within the next 3 years?
I'd be surprised if he did achieve. What age is he? 26 is he?
He's 26.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if he could achieve that. But I do think he can improve. Everybody can continue to improve, and he's quite young, and he's he's big, strong, fit. I think he looks like he trains hard as well. And
Mhm.
boxing isn't rocket science, I guess. So he'll have a chance, but I don't think he'll do it.
Okay, so tell me, Mr. Sullivan, what's the thing that you love most about boxing?
You feel really good, fitness wise and healthy. Your health is really, really good.
Hmm.
My all my health statistics will be really, really higher than average of my age. I'm 39. Got a resting heartbeat of around 41. Stuff like that. And when I go to get my medical checkups and the doctors, they're always quite impressive, you know. So
Mhm.
probably my favorite aspect of boxing has been keeps you so healthy, it's so fit.
Yeah,
You know.
I would like to know if you can recall, like, what was your first match like? Like, with the first time that you got punched in the head, was it like a heart skip, like adrenaline rush? If you can, recall
Is
that,
that
please.
as an amateur or as a professional?
That's
Or
that's your for your first professional fight.
my first professional fight, I guess you know, it was a bit nervousness. I was I actually made, lucky enough, made my pro debut in my home county, my home city of Cork, and there was quite a big crowd turned out there. It was a packed stadium, well, Neptune Stadium, like I think it was about 2,500. But it was my first time fighting in front of a crowd that size, and all my friends and family were there, and there was a bit of pressure, and yeah, the fight was all right. I fought a guy; he was a journeyman, so I was expected to beat him anyway, and I
Hmm.
was better than him and quicker and stuff. So I enjoyed it, but I felt a little bit nervous, and he
Hmm.
was experienced, and you often see these scheduled fights that you're expected to win that they don't go your way in the end, and there's always that bit of nervousness there, I guess.
Hmm. Um, so you were mentioning about Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith, if I'm correct. Was there a potential fight that you wanted there? Like, did you want to fight Chris Eubank and Liam Smith?
I actually fought Chris Eubank in 2015 myself,
Right.
and so no, I wasn't really particularly interested in fighting the winner that there. Well, Eubank's a pretty big guy, bigger than
Hmm.
me anyway.
Uh,
Um,
Liam Smith, was there any interest shown there as well, or?
and we were really, well, it wasn't something I was really thinking about, to be honest.
Mhm.
They were fighting at middleweight, I was kind of trying to fight at light middleweight at the time, and you know, like I'd fight either of them, I would fight either of them, no problem. I've always said that I've always fought everybody that I've ever kind of encountered around my own weight division. But it wasn't the fight I was looking at to fight the winner or anything like that. No, it
Mhm.
wasn't.
So, can I ask you about your last fight, which was in 2022? You had a killer mindset. You were ready to go in there. Um, so against what was his name? Lara.
Yeah, Ruslan Larry, yeah, Cuban guy.
Are you planning? Is there potential down for a rematch? Because some of my friends that know you, that like you, they said that they've wanted to see the rematch between yourself and Lara. And do you think that maybe is a possibility that we could see the rematch?
I doubt it. I doubt we will. And he's a southpaw as well, which I never really liked fighting against. So I'm, not super eager to fight him again anyway, to be honest. And what the major issue is, fighting southpaws is not maybe just the fight itself; it's preparation. You've got to be in the ring maybe 2 to 3 times a week,
Hmm.
sparring with a southpaw as well, which is a left-handed guy, and they never suited me, and they're really awkward, and I just don't enjoy it at all. So
Hmm.
I'll be trying to avoid the southpaws for the rest of my career.
So Conor Ben recently returned
Yeah.
this Saturday. Did you watch that fight? And if so, what do you take away from Conor Ben's performance?
We didn't watch it at all. Don't have much interest in him, to be honest. He's a cheat, you know.
Oh, so you
My
you
opinion.
don't you you don't respect Ben because of what happened with the drug failure.
Yeah, yeah, or anybody that cheats, like any drug failures, I have no respect for any of those guys. You know, fuck them all. Basically, is what I think. Scumbag.
Now, I was actually in a group chat the other day, and one fella brought up the interview that I'm having with you. And they said, "Here, Pierce, would you ask Mr. O'Sullivan if there was a possibility that his team could reach out to KSI's management and get yourself on a Misfits card? Would you be willing to step into the Misfits ring, or do you want to stick to, the traditional boxing route and, not really join in
Mm.
on the influencer scene?
Yeah, as I said before, like I guess I'd be willing to fight anybody, and yeah, I'd be willing to join one of those cards and fight one of those lads. Yeah, no problem.
Would you fight Jake Paul?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, he's a bit heavier, a bit bigger than me, but I'd fight him. Yeah,
He he is a,
no
he is
problem.
an he is an orthodox fighter as well. So
Yes,
like you're more than willing. Like that's very admirable that you're willing to get in there, because he's like there's been a lot of hate on the boxing community in the scene against other boxers, because they're saying that, influencers they're saying that influencers, they're kind of degrading the sport of boxing, and that they're beating all these legends, like these old boxers. um and so, like, you'd be willing to jump in there with the likes of KSI. If I may ask, would it be to kind of, I suppose, prove that influencer boxing is not as legitimate as traditional boxing?
yeah, pretty much. I guess I'm not quite one of the old guys yet. I'm 39. I've still be quite good, really good actually. I do think it is a bit. I don't enjoy that aspect of it. I can't remember Evander Holyfield fought a fight one time. He was with an idol of mine, and he got knocked over in one round. And he's like older guys in their 50s or late 40s, whatever. They haven't kept at the sport. I think it's important to keep active and keep on training. Whereas some lads, like some of these legends, they come back for the money, kind of. I think. Um, and they've been out of the sport for many years, and then they just get knocked over by the likes of Jake Paul and all that. I don't like to see that myself, but you know, outside of that, I say good luck to Jake Paul and KSI and the like of these guys. But yeah, I'd fight one of them, no problem, and I'd be eager to show that you know
What a pro
guys of a high
boxer like
level.
is all about.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
pretty much. Yeah,
Um, going back to the Connor fight, is that something, like, even though that interview was a year ago, is that a fight that you'd still like, even though Connor is, he's still a southpaw, and you have expressed interest in wanting to fight him?
yeah. I don't think he's the same level though. Of this like the Southpaws. I would have fought in boxing. I mean, I thought Billy Joe Saunders and Erislandy Lara both like really high level boxers. Wouldn't
Mhm.
they consider McGregor the same in the same league as those guys? Yeah, I'd fight him, no problem. Yeah,
Did you
he's a
see
bit
the?
more like
Oh no,
he's a
sorry,
bit
go
more
ahead.
like I think he's a bit more on the rhythm of KSI and Jake Paul in terms of boxing, in my opinion.
So, did you see the Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight?
I did, yeah.
What was your evaluation of Connor? Because it was his very first professional boxing match. Like, we know Connor as a striker in MMA, but in MMA, like, you have takedowns, you don't just use your hands and your legs. You use practically, like, your elbows, your knees, and you use your hands, of course. But how did you evaluate Conor throughout his boxing match with Floyd Mayweather? Do you think that he was actually decent to the point where maybe he could actually do something in boxing and maybe win a world title? Because he did say that he wants to do that, not only adds to the double champ status that he won, but he also wants to add a official WBC world title to that. So I was wondering, do you think he has the potential, if he continues to fight and eventually goes back to boxing, do you think that he'd be able to do it?
No, I don't think he can. No, definitely not. I don't think he's a good enough boxer. He's got no chance of winning a world championship in boxing. And my evaluation of the Mayweather fight, I think he done quite well, you know, but I think Mayweather kind of carried him more so than
Mhm.
actually, I think he could have probably finished it quicker. He just kind of
Hmm.
dragged it out for a bit of entertainment for the fans, and he was always in control of the fight. I felt pre-fight going into it that was pretty much what would happen, and that's what did happen. And I wouldn't consider Conor, a great boxer at all. He's very good at UFC, obviously,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
not in boxing.
Yeah.
But he did box amateur. He boxed amateur himself as well, so
Mhm.
but not for very long, I don't think.
No,
And
so there's no chance from yourself that there's a title on the line to add next to the UFC titles. So no WBC, no WBO. So tell me, Mr. O'Sullivan, like, I mean, really, when you fight, like, what's going through your head? Like, you have the objective to try and knock out somebody. And I want to know from someone that's not only a casual watcher, but also I've been watching boxing myself for years, and I've always wanted to know what that feeling's like. What's the feeling like to be able to punch someone in the face, knowing that you could give them a bit of damage, like you could give them busted noses, all that kind of shit.
well, you prepare, you condition yourself for these occasions. You're in the gym training 6 days a week. Have been for many years. Most guys that fight have been training for many, many years, especially people that reach that level. They've been in the gym for many, many years, and as part of you know what to expect, and you've been doing it in the gym day in day out. So it's just becomes part of your life, and it's my job. And
Mhm.
I just you know just what I do, I guess. And
Is there any fighter currently that you don't like? Like, I mean, besides like Conor Ben, because I know that you stated that you don't like him because that he cheated. But is there a fighter that you currently don't like and that is in your division and you would like to fight?
I can't think of one off the top of my head now, to be quite honest. I'd say it if I did. Not really. Not. There's not. No. No. Not that I can think of offhand. Anyway. No.
Mhm. Can I ask you, what do you think of rivals like feuds? And I'd like to ask, where do you think the line should be drawn when it comes to feuds?
I think personal stuff, maybe about people's families and stuff. I think is a bit over the top.
Hmm. And when it comes to feuds, do you think that it gets people excited, like more excited, or do you think when it gets too personal, people are more turned off than rather turned on for a fight?
I'd say there's a mixture of both. To be honest, my opinion, I'd say depends on what way people are inclined themselves. I'd imagine. I suppose some fans would like it, others wouldn't. Personally, obviously not. I wouldn't. I don't like it. I think it's a bit over the top, bit too much when they go into thinking about people's families and whatnot like that. I think is a bit much.
So I'd like to ask next, how many more fights do you think that you want to have? I know that you said that you can't fight this October because of an injury, but I'd like to know how many fights you plan to get out there in 24, and do you think that there is possibility there might be a title for 24?
Yeah, I think there definitely could be a title in 2024. I'd like to fight again, as I said, before the end of this year. I think the end of October is a bit too soon for me now. I think, but at a push, maybe, I might, but I definitely want to fight before the end of the year. But I think there's a couple of years left in me. I feel really good. I keep really fit. I train all the time. I eat well, and I train all the time, and I feel as though my body is really good, and I can continue boxing for quite a few years to come.
I've heard that Tony Bellew, the former WBC cruiserweight champion, might come out of retirement, and I'm wondering, on this interview now, would Gary Spike O'Sullivan be willing to fight Tony Bellew?
Way too big for me. He's fought at like heavyweight. I fought, I'm a middleweight, light middleweight, so size difference is way too big. He's like He's 6'3", I think, and like
Hmm.
5'10".
Hmm.
He's he outweighs me by, I don't know, 5 stone at least. I'd say he'd be like 5 stone heavier than me. I couldn't
Hmm.
fight him. He's too big. I wouldn't fight him.
Right. Right. So going forward next, so you have of course, you have your injury, so you're going to continue to train, and you're going to try to get it back into perfection. Keep going at the gym, and keep going for the fights. Are who do you have an opponent in mind that you want for your return fight?
I don't. I'm injury free. I'm just getting back fully fit. Fighting fit. It's a high level of fitness. So I'm injury free. I'm training hard. I'm back running, weights, punching the bags, and all that. I'm good to go pretty much. But I just got to tune up and get some rounds in the ring. But I don't have any opponent in mind. I'll be kind of just talking to my manager, and I just contact the promoters, and whatever fight comes my way, I'll take it.
How has life been outside the ring ever since your loss to Lara? I'd like to know.
It's been good. It's not the first time I've been beaten, so that's life. It's my job. You win some, you lose some.
Mhm.
So
I know it's the fact that you took it. Actually, speaking of that, was there an injury that caused a year off, or did you decide that you wanted to take a year off?
no, it was an injury. I was actually playing football in the garden with my kids, and I slipped and broke my ankle. It's a freak accident.
Hmm.
So that it happened 2 days before Christmas. Happened on December 23rd. I was scheduled to fight in Boston in the March, and I was also scheduled to fight probably in May, Dublin as well.
Hmm.
Uh, so I missed both those fights, and I had a holiday booked with my family after those two scheduled fights for June. So that kind of put pay for the first 6 months of the year, and I was kind of getting back fit after that 6 months out, really. So that's what I've been working on the last couple of months, and I'm not too far off now. And as I say, I want to fight before the end of the year.
Hmm. Can you tell me your favorite fight that you've been in?
Um, well, yeah, I guess it's probably two of them probably come to mind. Maybe one was in Dublin. I won by knockout against a guy called Anthony Fitzgerald in the first round. It was a big rivalry before that fight going into it, and you know, he's he's a good fighter, and he's retired since, but he was a good fighter, and that was a pretty good knockout of the year actually, 2014. And another one, 2017, I fought in Quebec in Canada. I won again my knockout actually in the seventh round, but I was brought in kind of as the B-side fighter, kind of expected to get beaten, and I surprised quite a few people that night on HBO in America, on the American TV station,
Mhm.
even though the fight was in Quebec in Canada. And that was a big win for me as well. So two of those I have fond memories about those nights.
Mhm. Has there ever been a fight where you went into enemy territory and it's like you really wanted to upset the crowd? Was there ever a fight that you silenced the crowd? Like I'm talking crickets.
Actually, that one, the 2014 when I won by knockout of the year, it was on Sky Sports knockout of the year in Dublin. There's a hostile crowd, and it was a home base, like it was like a I don't know about 8,000 seater stadium, the Train Arena there in Dublin, and I knocked the guy out in 59 seconds actually, and it was anticipated that that fight was going to be like a war, an all night 10 round fight that we'd be like beating the shit out of each other for 10 rounds, but I ended it in like 59 seconds, and that pretty much silenced the crowd. It's a pretty good night for me.
So you've pretty much said it all. Like you're doing fantastic. Like you're still training to this day. Like you're still eating healthy. Like you still want to win the WBC WA world title. Like um can I ask you, do your kids does your son plan to take on a boxing legacy, and are you teaching him boxing?
No, I don't teach them to box at all. I kind of try to keep my kids away from boxing and point them in a different direction towards like theatre, music for my daughter, and my son is more interested in soccer. Like he plays soccer, he plays hurling and football, and
Mhm,
you know, I try to keep him away from boxing. It's a tough life, and I would rather you know my kids go a different direction.
mhm. So you don't really want your children involved in boxing because you've endured it yourself. You said it yourself that it's a very tough game, and but there was never any interest whatsoever to maybe say, maybe my son can be a champion one day, but there's none at all.
Well, the kids in particular, my daughter there, she's 11. She was kind of eager to box, but I just kind of kept on putting her off. I'd rather that she does something else, music, theatre, just enjoy herself a bit more, and play her some other sports and stuff. My son, I teach him a tiny little bit at home, and I teach both of them a small little bit, but not to actually go to a boxing club and compete, just like to protect himself in the street, and you know, yeah, I mean, if my son turns around to me when he's like, I don't know, if he persists with it when he's 14, 15, 16, if he's like, Dad, I want to box, and I'll bring him
Mhm,
down to the gym and he can do it, I guess. But I hope not. I hope he just sticks playing soccer and hurling and stuff,
mhm.
I'd rather they didn't box.
So we've got 5 more minutes left for this interview. I would like to know, for your career, are you happy with what you've done in the sport for yourself and for your legacy so far?
Yeah, I'm quite happy. I mean, the outside of my career, I made my pro debut, and I wasn't sure I was ever even going to become a professional boxer. So when I set up my first fight, I thought it was just going to be the one fight that I'd
Hmm.
have just to have boxed professionally, which was a dream of mine. I achieved that, and I thought that could be it. And then my manager called me up to fight a couple of weeks later, maybe a couple of months later in America, and I was glad to do that. To fight in the States, I haven't grown up watching all the fights in the States. It was a great thing again as well to go. It was my first time going to America as well, and um, one fight after another has led to another, and then I ended up fighting on box office and pay per view and on all the major TV stations around the world. I mean, it was something I didn't really see happening, and so I'm glad I achieved all that anyway. Yeah, definitely.
So there's two more questions I have for you before we wrap up here.
Yeah.
Do you carry any regrets? Like, do you have any regrets whatsoever being a boxer, being a professional boxer?
Not really. No, no, I don't. No.
And the final question, and before I ask this, Mr. Sullivan, I want to thank you very much for giving me your time to interview you, and it was honestly very nice time. I like you're a very pleasant chap, and I also want to thank you for representing our country. And I think that once I share this interview, I'm going to let people know how much of a savage badass you were. And so the final question is, what would you say to someone that has a dream of becoming a boxer and wanting to win a world title?
Um, I guess you got to work hard, and believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself is a big thing. If you don't got the belief in yourself, you're screwed.
Mhm,
That's a big thing. You got to believe in yourself and work hard. Train hard. Dedication. Be consistent in your training. You got to be consistent. It can become very repetitive, but you got to do it. Even though it's boring, it's monotonous, but you got to continue to do it regardless, and just do the same thing over and over and over again. Because there's some saying like you got to do something like 20,000 times or something like that before you kind of master it, I guess. So yeah, you got to believe in yourself. You got to be consistent, and
mhm.
you got to work hard and be prepared for a hard life. Yeah. Where are you from yourself, Pierce?
I'm from Ireland myself. I was born in Dublin, but now I'm living out in West Cork.
Oh, geez, very class last night. West Cork is unbelievable. Such a
Hmm.
beautiful place. I was lucky to discover quite a bit of it during lockdown when we were restricted around county. What a beautiful
Hmm.
place West Cork is. Usually you're eager to get on a plane and get to the hotter countries or whatnot. But COVID was a blessing in disguise in some ways, and we discovered more of Cork then. It was such a beautiful place.
I live out in the countryside, so the likes of COVID was absolutely fine for me. I got tons of questions about what was COVID like? Did you not go insane from it? I was like, no, I've been out here for about 15 years. I think I can handle it pretty well.
Yeah, we went to a place called Beera. I thought it was particularly beautiful. Really, really nice.
Mhm. So, Mr. O'Sullivan, thank you very much once again for coming on to the Celtic Fight Chronicles and the Chaotic Show. You've been a very pleasant man, and I hope to get you on another interview within the near future. And I would
Yeah, for
like to
sure,
also,
Pierce. Yeah.
I would also like to get your explicit consent that I can post this towards every platform that I have towards my community, so I can let them know that who you are and what you do.
Yeah, do of course, Mr. Patrick. Fire away, go for that, and we'll speak again in the future.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies and
Thank
gentlemen,
you
for
then.
tuning in to the Celtic Fight Chronicles episode 2. My name has been the Chaotic Gentleman with Mr. Gary Spike O'Sullivan. I'm very thankful, and that is it.